our whole goal with Hype House in the beginning, and still is just people to have their independent brands and a place to collab for. And like, hey, like I have this amount on TikTok, like Vinny or Michael, you have this amount, like let's make a video and like have our fan base like group together. But also Hype House is an entity. So it's like we have the Netflix show Hype House, where it's a group of people, and it's not necessarily the group, it's the people in the group. And that's what we've always wanted. Is we wanted to build people. That's why we don't have contracts. We don't have any of that shit. And we don't care about the Hype House as it is, but we care about the people in it. And the people in it will always be Hype House. If that makes sense.
Is there any part of like that? Because there was such a time where like the Hype House was kind of like what all the parties were happening there,
Sure.
right? It was all
we
part
got
of that
blamed
LA
for all
culture.
this. We only had one of them.
Yeah, you guys didn't.
So like the only party we had was Lorraine's, and that was a huge fucking mistake, and we learned from it. But then every single time an influencer had a party, we got blamed for it.
Yeah.
Or if any of us showed up to it, it was like, oh, it's the Hype House's party. Like even if like it was just Rylan or a few other people just walking into a party and getting filmed, all of a sudden Hype House was having a party, and Hype House was in the label of it because the Hype House was getting them clicks. So it's like continuously our name was getting thrown in. Keep in mind, I don't fucking party. You guys all know this.
Yeah.
I lay in bed where I edit on my computer and I come up with video ideas. I'll even
Alex
dabble.
might come for like 10 minutes, stand there,
Yeah.
and walk out.
Alex comes and picks his friends up.
Yeah, I come pick my friends up drunk and I film them.
He's like, "Hi guys, I'm here to pick him up."
I'm like the mom.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I like hop in the minivan, guys.
Hop
Let's
in,
go.
come on.
But no,
It just happens to be a fucking $500,000 minivan that has one other seat.
the name was always dropped, and it was cool because like any publicity is good publicity. You always hear that in the space, but at the same time, it's like people just hated us. I mean, still do. I mean, this Netflix show, if that hasn't showed you anything, everyone blames us for their favorite show getting taken down. Even though this has been filmed for the last year now. Before it, if they were planning on taking your favorite Netflix show away, they would have just, like, this was before any of your favorite Netflix shows aired.
They're like, Office isn't on here. Probably because they replaced it with the Hype House.
No,
it's like, no, that's
like
not what it is.
We signed papers and had everything set up like a year before this. So it's like your favorite show got...
Because you were in talks with us about it. When
This has been in talks since the first Hype House.
Yeah.
We filmed the sizzle and sold the show. So it's like, it's been a while. Like a really long time.
So, and you can feel free to not talk about this if you don't want to, but there's some controversial members, or there's a controversial, I don't know about member, but she was affiliated with another Hype House member that was probably in recordings of the show. How do you, like, how is the show dealing with kind of like what happened between Sienna and Jack?
Oh, how's Netflix dealing with it?
Right, because I mean they probably heard that and they were like, oh shit, because they got I mean, you guys, all the episodes are filmed.
Yeah,
and then this happened after, so so like, you know, kind of what.
Here's the thing: I can't say anything, not legality wise, but because a lot of it is in the show. And this was not like a stunt or anything. Like, trust me, we wish season 2 has been picked up already just to film everything that's happening now. But a lot of this was talked about in the show, and a lot of the things that, you know, were happening that were questionable was confronted in the show and all this stuff. It just happens that once we're done filming, this shit happens, and we're like, "Fuck, where's the cameras now?"
Because so it was an issue, and then it came out in the public.
Not what
after.
you're thinking though.
Okay.
Like it's
it's
like
so
hard for me. Here's the thing: it's
like
so
their
hard for me to
relationship,
explain it without anyone watching this is gonna obviously try and guess what I'm saying. It has nothing to do about the legal shit that we're talking about, the things that people can go to jail for. But there is a lot of problems with those two things that are talked about in the show and are confronted in the show.
Sienna and Jack.
Yes, but I'm saying like the legal thing that we're talking about that we cannot name is something that I can't talk about just because
It's not really.
It doesn't involve me.
Yeah.
But also, you know, I love Jack. I will always be there for Jack. I text Jack every day. We all do. We all stand with Jack.
Yeah.
Like that's just what I'll say about that. But a lot of like, you know, them and the unhealthiness and stuff is talked about in the show and confronted very, very publicly.
That's gonna make people really want to watch this show.
But I hope everyone knows, like, this is something that you cannot joke about. So this is something that we did not. Like, a lot of people are like, this better not be a publicity stunt. In no way would we make a publicity stunt to ruin someone's life.
Yeah.
So like that is just an ill attempt of kind of like dismantling the show in its way. But you'll definitely see the real picture of everything in the show. Mm-hmm. But because like I'm sorry I derailed from your question though. Yeah, what is Netflix doing about that situation? I have no idea. I don't know if they're excited that something's happening.
They can't. I mean, they can't be too excited.
No, they gotta realize so many.
Legally, they cannot be too excited. I have no idea what the fuck they're gonna do.
Huh. it provides.
But content-wise, they're a little.
Content-wise, I have no idea. I can't speak for Netflix. I'm under contract with Netflix.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm pretty sure I've said a lot more than I'm supposed to.
Well, because the thing that's interesting, like if you were to put a camera on like a bunch of high schoolers or even college kids, right, that are in like a friend group, there's a lot of like my friends have had girlfriends that I fucking hate, and I would tell them that to like their face. I'm like,
oh, you're gonna love this show.
Like I'm like, yo, dude. So that's what I'm
show.
interested to see before the whole, actual serious part of what was happening came out. Which, I totally feel for whoever was affected by that. But right. The more like this is so toxic, or, yo, this girl's really weird, or like, stuff like that, or this guy's really weird. Anything like that, that's something that's more interesting. And that's interesting that's in the show already.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So there's
a lot you guys don't know about that's in the show, too.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you about it after this, but it's fucked.
It's funny. So Michael
like leaving some of it, but like obviously
Michael Sanzoni's sitting behind one of these cameras and he's like, Alex,
shut
stop.
up.
Alex,
okay, so I warned Netflix about this. I leaked the Netflix show on to Fletcher, Hollywood Fix. Early before right when we were filming, I leaked the show before we were supposed to announce it. And no one found out. No one found out that I leaked it from Netflix. And I told them ahead of time, I'm like, I am horrible at keeping secrets. I'm going to be the Tom Holland of this of this realm, okay? I just can't keep it. I love talking about it. I get really excited about these projects. So I love it. But they hate me for it.
That's interesting because so you say you love it. We had Michael Gruen and Griffin Johnson on for a podcast a while back.
Sure. Yeah, they were part of the Sway one, right?
Yeah, they were. But they said they had horrible things to say about the experience, and they didn't want to do it at all. Like,
really?
At the end of it, right?
What were the bad things they said about it?
It was just them bringing them into drama, making them villains. They Michael the villain, I guess. So it's
he's upset that they made Michael the villain.
No, they would rewrite, they would kind of redo things in it and stuff. That weren't that they were all fabricated.
So editing in reality shows is very sticky. It's very, very messy, and it's very much they'll get a clip of me just doing this, just randomly, and then they'll tie it into a video where Cover's being like, and what do you think about this? I really want to know what you're thinking, and I may say something that's really good and really I love you, baby, and then they'll cut that out and just go, yeah. And then they'll do it on purpose.
That's why they do close-up shots. The background doesn't matter,
yes,
right?
and they have you do pickups. They have you do a bunch of shit, and it's really dense. That's why when I watch reality show, I don't think much of it. But I'm really scared. That's the only part I'm scared of is I don't know if they're gonna make me a villain. I'm one of the nicest guys I think I know.
Dude, what if you're the worst?
But it's not hard to make someone look bad. It's really not at all. So it's I'm interested, I'm excited, but also it's they stopped filming with me for a good minute of it because I wasn't saying enough.
Have you watched any of the other Content House reality TV shows?
I've watched Taylor's a lot.
Oh, Compound?
So what do you think of that? What were your feelings about it? How watchable do you think?
Oh, I watched a lot of the episodes.
Really?
Here's the thing, I know them, so it's a little different. I know them and I love them and I know a lot personally about them, so I know when something's kind of being exaggerated or not. And then also it's it's really cool to see my friends in an environment like this where I usually just see them chill. So it's more of a more personal thing for me where it could be someone in the audience is really enjoying that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Kai and I watched it and I no hate on it.
Sure.
I understand it's a reality TV show.
Right.
But Kai and I were watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh. Some of the things that were being said were that has to be the worst line I've ever heard in my entire life. Right, and it's totally. I mean, I get I respect the hustle on it.
A lot of the writers and producers in these shows aren't really understanding of cringe and what's not. So sometimes they'll say, "Oh, hey, can you we missed that. Can you repeat it but say it like this?" And then I'm like, I'm not gonna say something like that. There was I'm not gonna get into details because Michael's then gonna tell on me. I was just having fun. All right, let's move on because